What's going on, guys? Ben Brewster here at triathletics.com. We're joined today by Dr. Nevin Markle. If you haven't checked out our other Q&A videos with Dr. Markle, definitely go ahead and check those out. We'll put the links in the video description. Quick background on Nevin. He is a therapist. He's worked with hundreds of professional athletes from MLB to NFL to NHL to NBA. And he's the therapist that we send all of our athletes to when they come down with arm issues, hip issues, what have you, and they're kind of at a plateau in their own career. So he's the guy that we send to problem solve those issues and really address them and get them healthy. And he's also played a key role in my own personal career. I've worked with him for the past 3 years, and not just in my own rehab and my own development, but also it's just played a key role in my own knowledge about the body, about anatomy, and about soft tissue and rehabilitation. So Nevin, thanks for being on here.
Sure.
The question that I want to address in this video, and it's a common question, is athletes maybe their trap will feel tight, or their hamstring will feel tight, or they'll feel like their hips are just always tight and they don't know what to do about it. And the natural instinct is to just assume if something feels tight, you need to either mash it with a lacrosse ball or static stretch it into submission. But how do you know if a muscle that feels tight actually is tight, if that's actually a problem? And if it is a problem, if that problem is local or if it's coming from somewhere else. So touch on this idea of a muscle feeling tight.
I don't dispute. I think a lot of athletes have issues with the muscle feeling tight, and it probably is tight to them. I think that the very interesting question that I asked myself a long time ago that I thought really helped inform the process for treatment, rehab, or exercise is, why is that muscle tight? I think we referenced back to what we did in a few videos ago about the concept of joint stability over mobility, because we all crave and want mobility, but in the end, your brain and your nervous system is built on protection of our joints and tissues, and it won't authorize more mobility unless it feels that the joint is stable and it has control over the range of motion that you're seeking. So to me, I think that that's the idea when you're looking at a trap, for instance, that's tight. In my experience, that I believe that tissue is being recruited excessively to try and make up for maybe another tissue's role that isn't being answered in terms of stability. So lack of rotator cuff muscle stability or activation may be an issue, and you see that their brain has basically developed an alternative strategy that they may not like because it's symptomatic, but I don't think many things in the body like that are mistakes, that a muscle is an enemy that needs to be taken over hostilely with smashing or stretching. I think a lot of times it's really, unfortunately, for they're perceiving that discomfort, but it's a byproduct of maybe lack of functionality or stability in the tissues and the joints that muscle crosses.
So you would say if an athlete has, let's say they're constantly stretching their hips and it continues to feel tight, what would you say is the first step that they should take, as far as should they be getting an evaluation of their body globally to really figure out what's causing that tightness in the hip?
Yeah, because as we said earlier, when you really see how the body works in function in athletics, it's really, unfortunately, not as simple as isolating it to one joint or one muscle, because it's a continuum of tissues and joints that work in unison, like a symphony orchestra. All the instruments and players work together, and you need a qualified individual, a coach or therapist sometimes, to help give you an objective, unbiased understanding. Like, look, this hip problem is a problem for you, but this is just where the issue has developed because of other dysfunction, perhaps. So muscle tightness is a common problem, and there's certainly solutions for that, but some of those solutions are very temporary. If you're, to your point, smashing, it feels good at the time, but you may not be really changing function, and that's really what it's all about if you want to get out of the cycle of constantly having to do an intervention or tissue work on the problem at hand.
Guys, if you found this video helpful or interesting, Nevin has a ton of information out there online. Go follow him on Instagram at anatomylinks. Also, if you're struggling with an injury yourself, Nevin actually has a therapy clinic in Charlotte, North Carolina. You can reach out via his website, which we'll link in the video description below. Thanks for watching.